Hello, welcome to Blueyology, where Blueyologists talk about Bluey. I'm Alastair McIver. I'm joined by fellow Blueyologists, David McMillan and Laura Guthrie.
Hello.
And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not just going to talk about Bluey, we're going to talk about Bluey and 19 other programs because to celebrate 10 years of CBeebies, The Guardian has counted down the top 20 CBeebies shows in one journalist's opinion. So we're gonna talk through them and see how they compare to Bluey and whether or not we agree with them. Needless to say, there's probably going to be some strong language.
Can I just jump right in and say the top 20?
Yeah.
With the inverted commas,
with the air speech marks, because nobody hates those. Okay. So at number 20, we've got T and Mo, cartoon monkey and his or her mum. I have to be honest, I watched about 20 seconds of that and wanted to throw them both into a black hole.
Which one did you watch?
I can't actually remember. They just started singing obnoxiously at each other, and I was like, nope.
Oh, you watched the songs, not the episode. The episode's nothing like the songs.
Oh right, I thought the episodes were the songs. I mean, to be honest, I just looked it up on CBeebies, so maybe I should have looked at it in more depth.
Laura needs to take the lead with this one then.
Okay, go Laura. What's your opinion of
already a debate's emerging because of the ones that I watched. That one. I mean, it was far second, but I would have put that one of the ones I watched second to Bluey for several reasons. But one of the ones was I thought it was a really nice dynamic they had in the like I say the episodes and the songs on the CBeebies website are separated out. And the episodes I was really surprised. The ones I watched, which was the first one and then one from later on, because I thought, well, maybe they'll develop throughout it. So I didn't want to just watch the first one and, form an opinion on that. So the premise of it is that it's T is the little monkey and Mo is, I kind of think of him as a he, but I don't know why exactly, but as I think he is a he actually. And his mother, and they live together and sort of do everything together. And I think it's like, for me, it was about the overlap place between adults and children and how to kind of bridge that and have a really nice parent-child thing that isn't, that's just sort of companionship as well. I thought it was kind of probably a nice program for people like only children and or children with single parents. Mm-hmm. And T in the episodes doesn't actually speak. Neither of them speak. There's a narrator that sort of interprets what they say, and they just like ooh, ah, ah, and things.
Mm-hmm. So
there's like a bit of a charm about it, I thought.
There's a narrator.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I was just trying to make you do the monkey noise again.
Except he does say mum. He goes like mom at the beginning of episodes.
Okay, so there might be more to this one than meets the eye. I have clearly not done my homework, and you've clearly done yours. Kudos.
So
only
the
on
only
that one.
Well, I was going to say the only thing that because I have to fess up, like some of these I haven't watched, so I'm not going to be much use for those. But I noticed that Lauren Laverne's involved in it, and Lauren Laverne's like a really famous like radio personality now. But mostly what I remember, and I'm going to show my age here, is Lauren Laverne being in the band Kinnicky, which was like a retro punk band from the mid-90s. So yeah, I can't really get that image out of my head, to be honest.
That's the same one.
It's the same Lauren Laverne, yeah.
That's interesting because if she's got a music connection, some of the songs are considerably better than others. I listened to two of them. I hated the Fun at Home one. I hated that one. If that's the one you saw, I completely sympathise. The Mama love song, like, oh Mama, you're the only one. It's
Oh,
really
that's
funny.
the
I
one.
thought,
That's the one I saw. It was Mummy, I love you, pukey nonsense.
I
thing.
thought it was a good spoof of a lot of music styles personally, but yeah.
Ah, see, so there's a layer of irony in there that went over my head.
Possibly. Maybe I'm reading too far into it though.
Okay, at number 19, feeling better. It seems to be a kind of nice thing about not feeling very well. Just what I'll do is I'll just read them out and jump in if you've got anything to say about any of them. 18, in the night garden.
Oh, I hate that one. A passion. It made my skin crawl the first time I saw it. I gave it a second chance this time, 2 episodes, and I don't feel any better about it. Sorry.
So
And
do you,
people feel that, I know.
do you feel like you're, I mean, the opening theme, like with Derek Jacobi, like surely is a redeeming, it starts well and then always goes badly, that sort of thing?
No, the opening bit, I like the opening bit of it. I just think the forced of it just makes my skin crawl.
Yeah, I think as a parent you need to learn your ninky nonk for your inky ponk, that's for sure.
Sage advice.
Eagle pickle, wig, and things.
Well, everybody's got their own little introductory chant thing based on their own name, you know. Which is a really annoying thing to do in real life. It would be like if I introduced myself going, Alastair, 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 Alastair.
Actually, I quite like that. We should do that.
Okay, I'll adopt that. I'll make that my thing from now on.
Maybe.
17, Balamori. What is the story? That's what I want to know.
That one.
Balamori, I seem to recall that some Scottish politicians got involved when Balamori was under threat because it's a kind of one of the only children's TV shows on which you'll ever actually hear a Scottish accent. One of the things I don't like about it is that it does the recap at the end. It will show you an episode, some stuff will happen, and then just before the end of the episode, it'll tell you what stuff happened in the episode you just watched. And that's based on some child development theory that they've looked up. And you know what? I hate that. Just make something kids like and talk to kids directly. You don't have to
do that as well. They say like, I'm Topsy, I'm Tim. Are you good at remembering? Can you remember what we did in this episode? And I just don't know. Again, yeah.
I think it doesn't just apply to kids like television. It's like the thing of do you need exposition, like repeated exposition, like on your TV program? I think that's a kind of big like sort of philosophical divide in TV, isn't it?
Well, I think the recap on children's TV is sort of like exposition in reverse, because exposition is everything you need to know before you need to know it. So you'll get the voiceover saying captain's log, stardate, blah, 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 and then they'll tell you everything that's happening, and then you go from there. Whereas Balamori is captain's log, the following is what just happened, and that's weird.
Can you imagine that? Like that would actually be quite funny on adult things, wouldn't it? Like if it was like a detective story, it's like, can you remember who did the murder?
They do that sometimes. Actually, sometimes you get kind of flashbacks, and sometimes it's kind of completely inappropriate because they will remind you of something that happened earlier in the episode. It's like, and remember this bit that I told you before earlier in the joke that is required to get the joke. That's very, very important. I can't hear you. There's a banana in my ear. So,
the flashbacks like that.
Yeah, I guess they do it in adult TV, and it's condescending and annoying there too.
Yeah, unless they give you all the clues and you don't notice them, and then you look at them in a new way. Sometimes I like it there, but I suppose Yeah, I just wonder, like, why adults think they have the right to do more of the, like, you know, stop and lecture or lecturing character syndrome and stuff. Why they think they have the right to do that to children when they don't think they have the right to do it in the same way to each other.
Because television has always been the subject of an extraordinary snobbery, and now it's being carried over onto screens generally. You know, people who are quite comfortable with tellies are less comfortable with anything else that's got a screen, but it's basically just a little telly. And what happens is that people making things for telly have to feel like they have to justify themselves. So the children has to come out of this having learned an important lesson. And you don't get that with books so much. With books, you just have to come out having seen a picture of a caterpillar. Oh, look, it's a caterpillar. And that's fine.
In the case of the very ugly caterpillar, a very artistically licensed caterpillar, which is great.
Oh, I love the very hungry caterpillar.
Me too.
That's awesome. Yeah. But there isn't the same pressure on books because books have a status as tools of education that they don't need to prove themselves anymore. They once did. Victorian children's literature is full of, and the moral of the story is because they can't stand exposing to a child to something that's not going to enhance them somehow. But I think that television is still struggling against that. So it needs to justify itself, and it needs to be like, this is what we have learned today. And Bluey, one of the things I love about that is that it usually, occasionally you get a bit of voice in the sky, but in Bluey, usually what happens is that it completely subverts that. And there are some moments where Bandit is about to tell the kids what the message is, and the kids just attack him and shove a pillow in his mouth. And it's just so brilliant because it's just like,
it's refreshing.
Piss off. We don't want to know the message. We can figure that out for ourselves. And it's revolutionary. But the rest of children's TV hasn't quite caught up.
I quite like it when you get that like revolutionary stuff, because I think it's quite revealing, not just, you know, and I'm not necessarily saying I haven't heard anything except for good stuff about Bluey, which is just as well for those people. But it can be quite revealing, I think, what people object to in children's TV as well, and they can be very rigid about that in some instances. And
there are a couple of episodes,
things that bring things out the woodwork, you know.
There are a couple of episodes of Bluey that have been censored in one way or another on Disney Plus. They're not so much on the BBC, but the BBC has hardly shown any episodes yet. But there are some episodes that are missing, like Dad Baby is an episode that somebody put on Vimeo, so I've seen it that way, where Bandit pretends to be pregnant and Bingo crawls into his baby beyond sling, and they kind of mime childbirth, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's like totally revolutionary, but it was too much for American audiences. There's an episode called Markets where there's a scene which was deleted where a horse does a big shit in the middle of the episode, so yeah, if you are going to be subversive in any way in children's entertainment, you've got a fight on your hands right away. And a lot of the things in this
barn owl live stream of baby barn owls being brought, you know, their prey in the nest, and somebody on the live chat actually did comment the exact words, "This is a family-friendly channel, please keep it clean." And they weren't even referring to the chat, they were referring to the barn owl getting brought, you know, day-old chicks.
Well,
on a live stream camera, like nature camera.
Okay, did the barners do anything particularly obscene?
Yeah, they tended to shreds and ate because they were hungry. And you know how ugly barn owl chicks are as well before they get their feathers as well. Conventionally so, they get really cute when you bond with them, but when you first see them, it's a bit of a shock as well. So I think there was sort of that aspect of like reflex thing of coming on and expecting to see these fluffy things and seeing them when they were really new.
As opposed to these baldy little monster things, little.
When they first hatch.
There's sort of like I haven't seen Baronel's, but I've seen various clips of for a while. Isabel was obsessed with things coming out of eggs, so I looked up various eggs videos, and and I made the mistake sometimes of watching them without watching them first, and I'm like, please let the bird not die, please let the bird not die. But okay, let's skip that one. And it's but it's fascinating, and and she loves the process of life emerging, but they do look like little snotters with beaks, and they're quite a sight. Okay, number 16, Grandpa in My Pocket.
Anyone seen
it? Number 15, Swashbuckle.
I have a few things to say about Swashbuckle.
Okay.
So I would class Swashbuckle as benign, harmless fun, because it reminds me of a lot of TV that I watched when I was growing up, and I watched a lot of TV like when I was young. And it reminds me a lot of 80s kind of like assault courses and getting Gunge dunked on you and things like that. It feels like quite benign, mindless fun, really, to me.
Well,
that's my impression.
The Guardian article compares it to a funhouse.
Yeah, Pat Sharp. Yes. Oh, that's a perfect comparison. Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually.
And it's just kind of kids running around screaming and getting Gunge on them.
Yeah.
Most of the Gunge ends up on adults. And
like
sorry.
A bit like Vintage City then, before Sweep and Sue, and after what's his name, Matthew Corbett. That's mostly sort of cream pies, custard pies. I knew I was going to get there in the end. Custard pies adults, in adults' faces, and sort of water pistols and things like that too, for the same sort of reasons and traditional.
I love the idea of custard creams being used as ammunition out of a cannon or something like that.
Well, that would hurt, getting hit in the face with actual biscuits. I don't think I'd like that very much. Here's a question though: is the word gunge used in the English language in any context other than children's TV? Because anywhere else you get goo or slime, it's just called goo or slime. Or
is that an Americanism?
GPs. As a doctor, I've got gunge coming out of my eye. Please, can you give me some antibiotic eye drops?
I would tend to say gunk rather than gunge. That's not gunge, that's gunk.
I thought gunk was like gunge stretches when you try and pull part of it out of the hole.
Gunk is more concrete. Yeah, that makes sense. Gunk has more structural integrity than gunge.
Gunge is like really thick egg white, and gunk's more like mashed potato.
Interesting.
Maybe. I also have if we can move on from that, I also have a soft spot for Cook and Lime, because they sound like they're from the West Country, and that's where my wife's from. So they're all right with me, those comedy villains.
Cool. Bedtime stories.
That's a couple of
celebrity reads a bedtime story at what the BBC is pleased to call bedtime. And that's pretty much it. They get a different celebrity to read a different story each night, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not.
I never actually thought of things as a show. I thought of them as sort of almost continuity things between shows.
They've had some seriously big names doing it. They had Chris Evans, the American Chris Evans, not the British one. Small difference there. They had Chris Evans of Captain America fame doing it, and that was just amazing. It's like, it's Captain America reading a bedtime story. I love that. beautiful thing. Can't remember anything about the story, but
Benedict Cumberbatch read The Little Red Hen, I think.
I used
I'm
to
not
like
quite-
The Little Red Hen when I was a kid.
Used to hate or like it.
I used to like it. I had a ladybird version. I will, said the cat. I will, said the dog. You know, that everybody wants to help. Nobody wants to help the little red hen make the bread, but everybody wants to help the little red hen eat the bread. And she goes,
Then the animals don't eat bread.
yes, that is the point here. Absolutely. So yeah, I love that story. I think it was the first kind of story with a moral that I ever actually got the moral, you know. I kind of saw what they did there, and I like that. Yeah, bugger off, I'm eating it myself. Quite right too. Good for you, hen.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're citing it as one that you liked with a moral in it that worked in a way that worked for you.
Do you know what? That is weird for me, because if I read it now as an adult, I would probably like, oh, this is so horribly didactic, and you know, I would read it through gritted teeth. But you know, I think maybe as a kid I was more open to didactic nonsense.
Weren't we all?
Have you read Millions of Cats?
No, I've only read one.
Well, you need to read millions of them. No, it's a book called Millions of Cats, and it's like one of those ones that feels like there's a really clear moral to it, but when you try and work out what the moral is, it's really, really hard. And yet increasingly it feels more relevant. So just Google it and find it. I'm saying that to anyone who's listening.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that we should be wary of spoon feeding children the moral, because they lose the skill of working it out for themselves. And I think that I probably fell victim to that as a child and was manipulated by the adults around me. But it's very, very, very hard not to do. At number 13, we've got the Tweenies. Can I just say,
I feel like I recognise these. I feel like I recognise these guys, but I don't really know anything about the Tweenies apart from how it looks, to be honest.
Before I saw this article, I had forgotten them, and I was really quite happy with them having been forgotten. I think that they should probably stay forgotten.
Ready to play? Time to come play with Tweenies. I'm afraid I do. I don't know what to feel about them.
Well, the song gets stuck in your head for a start. Yeah. You can run with us, have fun with us. It's okay. What do you say? Yeah.
So they actually had a band and had a song called Number One, which reached number 5.
I think a lot of children's TV icons release songs that get in the charts. Bob the Builder had a couple.
Wombles. They became a band.
Oh, the Wombles have had loads. Yeah.
They had a band, like people dressed as Wombles, or maybe it was Wombles themselves. Actually, maybe I should just keep that spark of magic.
No, I think that they're Wombles dressed as people dressed as Wombles. So underneath the Womble costume, there's a human costume, and then underneath that human costume, there's a further inner Womble. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Number 12, we have the Twirlywoos. Anyone know much about the Twirlywoos?
It's going to be next on my list before the computer died. So, sorry.
Okay, at number 11, there's Old Jack's Boat, which I haven't seen, but it does have Bernard Cribbins in it. So that's always a plus. Love Bernard Cribbins.
I think I might have seen one episode of it. But I don't remember it enough except for to say there was nothing bad about it.
Well, I think that's pretty much a winner.
That's actually pretty good in the context of all the previous ones up till now. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you should pitch that to the BBC, you know, I've got an idea for a kids' TV show and there's nothing bad about it. Yeah, okay, we'll buy that.
No, I just have the idea.
Number 10, Dip Dap. No idea about this one. Number 9, Giggle Biz. Yes, Giggle Biz features Justin Fletcher because nearly every program on CBeebies features Justin Fletcher, also known as Mr. Tumble. He did Something Special, which is the very inappropriately named program aimed at children with learning disabilities. And I cannot stand this guy at all. He's basically sort of a clown, but it's like everything he says and everything about the way he says it is kind of like a cruel parody of a disabled child. And somebody had the wonderful idea of painting a clown face on that, and that would make it all better and happy. And, you know, I think that if you put a motley handkerchief on a big jobby and stuck some googly eyes in it, you would have something that was at least funny. Justin Fletcher's not even that, you know. I'm sure that he personally is a perfectly nice guy, but his on-screen...
Well, they crossed him with that swashbuckle thing. Like, just sort of teleported him there and see how he did.
Maybe, yeah. I
feel like he'd be getting custard creams fired at him straight away.
He probably does. There's probably a lot of that kind of slapstick thing in his program. I just can't stand it. I can't stand his face. I can't stand his voice and his on-screen persona. I don't wish any harm to the man himself, but his on-screen persona is somebody I really just wish would fall down a hole and stay there. Not a fan.
Okay. Maybe we can putting him in and having custard creams. Maybe we can pitch that to the BBC as the idea that there's nothing bad about.
Or maybe instead of custard creams, you could like throw chainsaws at him.
I don't know if that would get through, you know.
It's a different sort of cartoon then, Alastair.
Yeah. Put him in a tank with hungry piranhas, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I can't go quite that.
Number 8 is Maddie's Did You Know? I did not know. Don't know anything about this one. Number 7, Let's Play. I think I have seen this one. They dress up as something and then do a kind of story about it. I don't really have a strong opinion.
Isn't that kind of like what Mr. Ben was?
I have only a very, very, very vague memory of Mr. Ben. It was kind of just on the outskirts of my time.
I think there were never very many episodes of anything, but he used to go to the shop and it had lots of different types of clothes in it, but they were strange clothes like, you know, knight's armor and caveman costume and things. And then he would come out the fitting room and he would be in the place. Like he would be in a castle or he would be in a sort of Neolithic cave and have adventures there and then go back through. It's kind of like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe meets a fashion show. But it was all kind of pretty, what most people would think was pretty bad animation, but actually good animation, you know, the sort of hand illustrated type look and things.
Yeah, well, a lot of Oliver Postgate stuff did that as well, the Ivor the Engine and such like, and yeah, I think they should bring back that style of animation. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it sounds like
very styles of animation now, I think.
It sounds a little bit like Franny's Feet. Now, Franny's Feet is a program from a few years ago where she works in a shoe shop and she finds something in each shoe and the thing suggests an adventure and then wheels her off onto a big adventure. And then at the end, she keeps the thing that was in somebody else's shoe. So there's just no mention of the morality of theft here. It's just, yep, yoink, I'll have that for my collection. And then she says, where will my feet take me tomorrow? And I was just
Oh no, not that trope.
Oh, ringing a bell now.
No, it's not ringing a bell. It's just, it sounds like that. And now we're talking to children trope when you say it like that. So I'm not sure if it is.
I didn't like Franny's feet because of the theft. I thought that was appalling. You know, if they would like admit that she was stealing and that this was naughty, then that would be one thing.
Did it say she was going to keep them forever and ever? Or was it like, I'll keep that and see if someone comes back for it? Like, could you read that?
Yeah, well, that would be like Bagpuss. Bagpuss's shop is all full of things that people have lost. And then they fix the thing by singing to it. You know, Franny's feet, I told my sister about it one time and she refused to believe that there was any such show. She thought I was making it up. For a moment I wondered if I'd had.
You wouldn't have made up the immoral stuff, though. I'm giving you that credit.
No, I'm a very moral, upstanding citizen who would never.
Who's just said about throwing Justin Fletcher into a thing of piranhas or chainsaws.
Well, that's completely different. Morally upstanding citizens can always find excuses for their own behaviour. That's
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, move on.
Yeah, completely different. Andy's Dinosaur Adventures at number 6. At number 5, Number Blocks, which I think
I almost got to watch one of them.
Anthropomorphic numbers prancing around and teaching numeracy.
So I think this is one of the ones.
Yeah, on reflex on the idea.
I think this is one of the ones that they, in my daughter's 1 year in the school system, this was mentioned a lot. I think if it was a hard day, they all get chucked in a room and watch Number Blocks. That's all I know about it.
When I was that age, it was words and pictures. And there was a thing called Wordy, who was a kind of robot, multicolored robot torso with arms that flew around and drew letters with a magic pen, top to bottom, down and round.
Right.
I think that was the equivalent.
So the claim that I think the article makes is that this was the first type of show of its kind, which wasn't just an educational show that showed children doing maths. So is that completely wrong?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
It might be the first that kind of, although Sesame Street anthropomorphized letters and numbers, didn't it? You had somebody singing "How I Miss My X," and the letter X shows up at the end, and it's got little eyeballs.
Oh, my triangle, it's true. I saw 3 corners in a crowded play or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, Telling Monster loves his triangles.
And it had
Is Sesame Street still going?
I believe so.
The base was also wide. Okay.
And they had REM were on it once. I remember that.
Yeah. Smiling happy monsters. Smiling happy monsters laughing. Monsters having fun, laughing. Yeah.
Feels like we need to do a special session on Sesame Street at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Coming on, isn't it?
Actually, I think Bluey would make quite a good short on Sesame Street. They could like slip it in alongside all the other Ernie and Bert stuff.
Flipped him in 2D, like how it's animated there, and had an episode about 2D and 3D. But sorry.
Do 2-dimensional characters actually understand the concept of a third dimension?
Probably not.
Or is that like some weird space-time
It was
quantum shit
acknowledged.
to them? You know, it's like,
It was acknowledged in The Simpsons once, wasn't it?
yes,
Homer stepped into.
the theoretical third dimension, and
That's right.
Homer gets lost in a kind of CGI world
Oh
where
yeah, I remember.
yeah, so
That's
it
right.
has
Be
it has
careful, the
been
cubes,
acknowledged.
the sun buildings there or something. It said, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, one thing I've always wondered is there a word for live action matter from the point of view of a cartoon?
Live action
Matter, like what would a cartoon character call us? Is there a word for that? Because there should be.
No, the only one where I've sort of seen that played around with is actually James and the Giant Peach, the film, because that starts off as live action, and then probably about 3/4 of it is animation, but the very beginning and the very end of it is, and it's supposed to be a sort of symbolizing the sort of spell of the peach breaking or something like that before it starts and then after it's broken.
Well, Who Framed Roger Rabbit has like live action and cartoon characters intermingling freely, and the plot is this developer that wants to destroy Toontown, and the Toons are kind of an oppressed minority, and it's fascinating the way they did it and the way they built the world. But even that never came up with an actual word for non-Toon matter.
Though interestingly, in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the oppressor of the Toons was himself a Toon, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's right. Christopher Lloyd. We're giving away huge spoilers here. Spoiler alert for anyone who's not seen Roger Rabbit. But at the end, Christopher Lloyd's baddie turns out not only to be who's been melting Toons in this horrible acid stuff. Turns out not only to be a Toon, but the very same Toon who murdered the protagonist's brother.
Great film.
It's amazing. I want to go watch it now, actually.
That was kind of a mold-breaking film in its own way, like at the time.
Well, they didn't have CGI back then, so they had to kind of work with what they had, and it was really groundbreaking the way they had cartoons flapping around. You know, at one point the gumshoe is like chained to Roger Rabbit, and Roger Rabbit's like jumping around inside the handcuffs, and it's just amazing how they got the two universes to intermingle. I'm in awe of that film. I think it's brilliant. I read the book on which it's based, and it's shit, which was very disappointing. But the film is awesome.
Actually, every now and then a film is better than the book.
Yeah, it's weird when it happens that way around, but it does. Number 4, we've got Rasta Mouse.
Seen that? Really confused by it.
Yeah, why is it confusing?
All I kind of remember about it was the music bit. I don't remember much about the story. Because I think there was kind of a song and a story in the episode. Either way, I just kind of I wasn't enamored with it because it's got this sort of crime fighting aspect to it, which, and just animal plus crime fighting seems a bit slightly lazy as a premise to me. But it kind of is interesting, I suppose, because there's not very many kind of representations that try to go into sort of reggae and that type of character and things like that. I don't think they necessarily got it right, but interesting attempt. I just kind of thought it was a bit of an excuse for a premise, really.
I don't know very much about it at all. I think I've seen it once. I don't remember much about it.
No. To be fair, I think I watched it when I had single eye conjunctivitis, which turned into double eye the next day. So I probably didn't take it in as well as I could have done.
Yeah, things you watch when you're going through things can sometimes take on an aspect of the thing you're going through no fault of its own.
Yeah.
If that was in any way
I don't
an
suppose that'd
actual
be.
sentence. Sorry, what did you say, Laura?
I said that I don't know if that will really, anything I said will really help anyone listening or watching, but maybe it's
I
like a
very much
gauntlet
doubt if anything any of us will help anyone ever, so it's cool. Number 3, Teletubbies.
You should be obsessed with them. you hang on, yeah, you never take that program for granted because somebody's baby underwent nuclear fusion to make it happen, and that's no small feat. So you know,
Yes,
just,
yes, there is a baby in the sun. Time
yeah,
for Tubby bye-bye time. And all of the Teletubbies are subservient. Sorry, were you saying something?
No, that's all.
All of the Teletubbies are subservient to this periscope that comes up and tells them all what to do. Time for Tubby bye-bye, and then they all do it. So their lives are dictated to by this periscope thing, and they're not progressing beyond toddlerhood as a society at all. So basically, the periscope thing is their computer god of the type that Captain Kirk would totally blow up. Really,
HAL 2000, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I have a theory, which is that it's a load of adults whose anxiety's been pushed over the edge by the strains of modern life, and they've actually volunteered to go to this universe and have some comforting parent manage their lives and live the lives of a toddler forever. Because
yes, I have applied to the Teletubby program. I will have the Teletubby serum injected into me, and I'll grow fur, and then I won't have to think for myself anymore, and I'll just eat Tubby Tustard. And the Tubby Tustard machine is so that's sort of like Captain America in reverse. It's like you're taking a serum to make you weak and stupid and fluffy. Tubby Tustard is weird. It's like this machine that goes.
It's a fart noise to make people happy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that Teletubbies was a phenomenon because nothing like it has ever been seen, and quite a lot of children's TV today is basically a poor imitation of the Teletubbies. The Teletubbies were the real deal, and it came out when. Sorry.
Yeah, they invented a world that was completely different.
Yeah, and it came out, and I liked the little thing where a mini documentary appears on their tummy, and then they watch it, and then they go again, and then you have to sit through the whole thing again.
That was the most boring bit.
I didn't like the again part, because then it's all shit, I have to sit through that again. Yeah, but it came out when my nephew was small enough to appreciate it, so he was obsessed with Teletubbies for a while, and yeah, I think that its place near the top of the list is justified just by the sheer innovation of it.
Can I just say kudos to them for their hand-to-eye coordination as well? Because, you know, the Tubby Toast, it goes popping out and goes in a massive arc, and they always catch it on the plate. Like these big kind of lumbering, fluffy creatures who really can't move fast unless they're in fast forward. They can catch it really agilely wherever it lands.
Okay, we've got to number 2 now. Can anyone guess what's at number 2?
Oh, wait, no.
At number 2, it's Bluey. That's right.
That's impossible.
I know.
I'm sorry, but that's not. How can something that gets 5 out of 5 all the time be second on any list?
Well, exactly. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely, I'm still.
I bet it's because it's newy.
I'm raging. I'm apoplectic with rage. There's just no excuse for putting Bluey anywhere other than the number 1 spot. It's not just the best children's TV program. It's one of the best things, if not the best thing that's ever been on television. It's
totally agree.
So yeah, there's no excuse for making it not number 1. And I'm kind of wondering if there's a little bit of misplaced nationalism at work here, because it's the only show on the list that's not British, and you have to wonder if they've maybe balked at the idea of putting a non-British show at number one in a list of the greatest BBC children's shows.
So I'm not sure, were the BBC directly involved in funding Bluey in the first place? Because if so, like, why did it take so long to get the episodes on BBC?
I've wondered that myself. There's obviously some sort of weird behind the scenes copyright politics going on, but yeah, there is BBC money involved. I'm not sure.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm not sure how much. I mean, it's creatively it's a product of the ABC, but the BBC definitely did contribute to its production. So
I think the only area in which Hey Dougie is superior to Bluey is the Hey Dougie Brush Your Teeth song. Because
you're gonna have to sing
Bluey Brush Your Teeth.
You're gonna have to sing the Hey Dougie Brush Your Teeth song now. You need to prove your
hang
point
on a minute. Hang on. Like, I should know this because we listened to it every night for about the last 8 years. Okay, so hang on. Brush your teeth. Every single tooth. To this sound. Round and round. Brush them like this. So that is a major contribution to the well-functioning of our society, at least as far as our house goes.
Yeah.
Because lots of people won't brush their teeth unless that's on.
Okay, so I definitely hate Hey Dougie a little bit less now. So thank you for that.
It's the only area in which it's superior to Bluey, though.
Bluey
in my opinion.
Bluey is a kind of mission statement of play as a way of life. And nothing like that has ever been on television before. You know, I mean, even Sesame Street, which we've already established as brilliant, has education as its primary motive. And so does Bluey in a sense. It just doesn't make a distinction between play and learning, which of course it shouldn't, but it's taking a lot of adults a very long time to come around to that point of view. So yeah, that's why, and it's hilarious. Some of the one-liners are just absolutely brilliant. I
think so in Bluey that I haven't seen in any of, well, certainly none of the other ones that I've investigated in that list, but quite a few others on CBeebies of late, full stop, is the degree of internal life each of the characters has. I think I've said that before. And watching those other ones made me kind of almost hunger for that in them. I think Hey Dougie, what made me dislike it so much was how good I felt it could have been with a little bit more thought and care and detail and diligence put into it. Because I mean, minion children just like, yay to everything, we're finished, and just sort of doing things all in unison. They've all been set to do and they do them, and you know, Hey Dougie and stuff. You know, if they're given each one a little bit more distinction, and perhaps I'm, you know, judging it prematurely, but they didn't really feel like characters exactly. And I think there could have been an awful lot more like subtly put in about this one adult who's in charge of all these children day after day, you know, and the aspects of that. And I didn't see any of that. I was expecting to after the articles sort of thing saying there are a fair few adult references put in as well.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not a fan of Hey Dougie, the number one greatest CBeebies show according to the thundering dunderhead that wrote this list. Yeah, I haven't really seen enough of it to glean very much of what it's all about. but there's just something about it that makes my skin crawl. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to it. You know, like I've seen it quite a bit. I think your criticisms are pretty valid, to be honest. It's just like kind of quite conventional, but wrapped up in a kind of quite clever packaging. And like to me, like Hey Dougie's like, it's like the nuclear, we were talking about thermonuclear earlier. Like to me, it's like the nuclear option. Like you have it on an iPad, and if stuff's going really, really bad, like at the end of a long car journey to Exeter, for example, like then you might, you know, if everyone's thrown up or something, then you put it on for the last stretch down the peninsula. But yeah, other than that, like you just wouldn't ever have it on except for the toothbrush song. Would you like me to sing it again?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
No, I'm just only joking.
Oh, again. So, did either of you feel that anything was glaringly missing from this list?
Pablo.
Is that Pablo the fox?
Sees the world in different ways.
Oh no, Pablo. Oh yeah, I've seen Pablo, the little autistic boy. Oh,
yeah, all the characters.
I love Pablo. I'd completely forgotten that one. Yes, that definitely deserves a place in this list. And
that was one of
those as well.
Revolutionary programs that sort of came out of children's TV in a very long time, but it was so sort of it just flared and then seemed to disappear. Which I think is often the case with a lot of things to do with disability, which is probably why things like Something Special has lasted, because the guy's got his finger in so many pies.
Well, I think maybe the kid involved in Pablo just didn't want to do it anymore, and that's okay. But I think sorry.
Some kids like to party, some don't, and that's okay. That's part of the theme tune.
Yes, that's just such a brilliant. It's not an in-your-face message, but it's clear. No. But it's clear enough, and it's a good message. I love that.
And it's not the only message either. It's like it's citing some examples of things, and then the episodes just go where they will, and they're centered specifically around autism-related arts as well. Like when he loses his smell, not his sense of smell, his actual smell after having been in the bath, and he doesn't feel like him anymore. And he takes it and he draws his characters, and his pictures tell the story.
Wow.
And that's how he sees the world.
What's it called?
Pablo.
Sorry.
P-A-B.
Yeah, when you said that, I got confused with Pablo the Little Red Fox, which is a completely different thing, which I also like. But yes, I remember Pablo now. Zingzillas is another. Zingzillas are a group of gorilla monkey puppet things that prance around an island trying to get ready for the big zing, which is a gig at the end. And they learn about musical instruments along the way, and they usually have to kind of solve a problem, and time is running out because the coconut clock is counting down to the big zing. And I love Zingzillas, and I think one of the problems with doing a list like this, when it's only, I think David's disappeared. Maybe that means that we're out of time. Oh, you've both disappeared.
Am I here again? Hello?
You are here again. Zoom limits the amount of time you can spend.
Shall we try going in and all going out, and then all like? I didn't mean it like that. I meant like, shall we try shutting this down and then going back in again, and see if that resets our time?
I guess. Okay, if that doesn't work, then thank you for watching this.
Yeah, thank you. Hope to see you in a moment.